Shula, their offensive coordinator. Shula spent the last 5 years in a similar role at the Carolina Panthers. Now he moves from Cam Newton to Eli Manning, who the Giants say is still their starting QB. Coach, what will the impact be for Shula with this new Giants offense?
I don't think the impact is going to be significant on Eli at all. In terms of the coaching staff's impact on Eli, to me, that's not going to be the biggest effect they have. The coaching staff's impact has to come on everybody else in that organization. With Pat Shurmur, he's got to get that discipline back that the Giants have had. Eli's going to be fine regardless of what system he's in, but it's all the other parts that have to be right and have to get fixed in order for that to transition. It's not going to be about Eli's game.
Yeah, the Giants have a lot of problems. Discipline is one of those problems. But if we were going to go to the X's and O's, what is Pat Shurmur? What is Mike Shula? What are they going to do? So what I look for is one of the same things Pat Shurmur helped with Rick Spielman in Minnesota. What they do, they revamped the offensive line. 5 new starters. And one starter moved to a different position, but 5 new starters when they started the season. So not only through the draft, through Dave Gettleman, his relationship through Carolina with Shula, I believe in them to attack it with the draft and free agency. You talked about potentially in that number 4 spot getting a running back. If you look at Eli Manning, 14 years with the Giants. Last year was the second least productive running that they were since he's been there. Now, they haven't typically given him a great running attack. So how are they going to help Eli? Is this going to affect Eli? To answer your question, it's got to be through personnel, through the front office, the trickle-down effect into the running back, because they got to get a big-time running back. Those things will help out Eli, Brandon Marshall, Odell Beckham Jr., Ingram, the tight end. But it starts up front with a philosophy. And that philosophy starts with discipline. And also, we need better big people. And I think all those people being together, I think that's how they'll tackle it.
All right, so, Eric, I think here's the question I really want to ask you. This is Pat Shurmur's second job. He's basically doing the opposite of you, right? You had your first job was the Jets, then your second job was Cleveland. And most coaches will tell you, like, you can fail at your first job, but that second job doesn't go right, and it's really, really hard to get the third one, right? So Shurmur has to get this right. Is he better off trying to win right now with Eli and use the pick for Saquon Barkley, or trade the pick and get, again, more live bodies because they have some personnel issues up front and they got some defensive personnel issues? Or if you draft a quarterback to learn underneath Eli Manning, that means you're drafting one of those two is going to sit on the bench this season. And so you're going to, long-term, that's a good long-term play, but it's not as good a short-term play. Do you think that plays into the fact that it's his second job, plays into how quickly he wants to get this thing going and how much he tries to build around Eli or build around whoever they draft?
Well, the other person whose second job it is Gettleman's. So he's got to get it right, too. And Pat's not going to have the ability to say, I want this guy, and definitely get every single guy that he wants. There's a clear distinction of power in that organization, and it starts with Gettleman. And they're going to work together, but ultimately he's going to make that decision. So is it a long-term play? Is it a short-term play? They need to be in lockstep because it's got to work for both guys. I'm fine with them going to get a younger quarterback to work under Eli. Now, the problem is they have so many areas to fix, and they don't have a lot of cap space. They put so much money into that defense, and you can't get out of those contracts in the short term. So to use the draft pick right now for a quarterback, you're going to be suffering through some problems that you could fix with that draft pick in other areas.
Yeah, I believe Barkley's a home run. Not only in New York City, I believe he is a unique running back, a lot like Ezekiel Elliott, a lot like Todd Gurley, who you talked about, dynamic in the return game, open field runner, breakaway speed. I can't wait to see him at the combine. I believe he's a once every 10 or 15-year type player, and playing with the Giants. I mean, last year they rushed for 23 yards. I mean, 23 yards, that's the type of support that Eli Manning has. So I'm with you. Gettleman has said he likes Eli, believes Eli is going to have a lot more football. I know Pat Shurmur would much rather have a veteran quarterback than trying to turn this franchise around with a young guy. So for me, Gettleman and Pat Shurmur, both of them being at the same spot, but the reason why they went for assistant coaches was because Gettleman is the one holding the power there. But I believe they will move forward because he's already made the decision on Eli. He wants him as a quarterback. But they have so many other pieces that they can be helped through the draft. And I believe it starts with Barkley. Get him with the number 4 spot, man. Because with him, OBJ, B. Marshall for at least another year, that would give them the skilled people to be really, really special. And I would do patchwork on the offensive line with draft picks and free agents.
That makes sense to me. Coach, let me ask you this. When we look at Eli last year, and as we've talked about, a lot of changes happened on the front office end of the Giants since last year. But did you see a quarterback that had another playoff contention season in him?
Great question.
Yes, definitely. I saw that. And look, he's had bad years in the past. This isn't the first bad year that he's had, but he's rebounded from that. And this is a guy that's found a way to win 2 Super Bowls. And there's not a lot of elite quarterbacks that have won 2 Super Bowls. But each time he's won those Super Bowls, there's been a full concept as how they're going to play the game. It was with good defense. It was being able to run the ball consistently. And he was part of that. Last year, he was trying to do too much. He had no receivers. He had a very, very difficult offensive line to work with. There was no running game.
Nice.
The defense didn't play anywhere near what expectations were. And I'm sure he felt a ton of pressure to do it himself. Take some of that off, and to me, You've got a guy that can win, 4 or 5 years on the road.
I look, I would have tried to trade him to Jacksonville mid-year last year, early in the year when everything went bad.
Eli's done?
Though?
Why?
Yeah.
Why? Because I would have had to start over. They just had so
you
many.
think he's done?
No, wait. I do think that he has football life left in him, and I think that decision has been made. And whether it was made by the people of New York speaking out, or it's made by just it's really hard to replace him. I'm saying if I could go back in time, go back to week 4, week 5 when OBJ got hurt and they were 0-5 in the season, losing the Chargers at home, and Jacksonville Jaguars need a quarterback, and Coughlin's there, I would have made that move. But since they decided to not make that move, and now they're pot committed to Eli, I'm with you, Chris. I think you build around. You got OBJ out wide. That takes 2 guys. That takes 2 guys defensively to cover. You put Saquon Barkley. Now all of a sudden, linebackers and the safety has to think about coming in the box. It makes life easier for Eli Manning, so that you can. Now you got to put together the offensive line and figure out everything else. It wouldn't have been my plan, but if this is the plan, I go with Barkley as opposed to drafting a quarterback that's going to sit behind Eli Manning.
I believe in Eli. I believe Eli has plenty of football left in him. If you give him the supporting things around him, Eli Manning can win you games in the 4th quarter. But you can't rely on Eli to throw the ball 45 times and run for his life. Like, those things aren't going to happen. I believe moving forward, the Giants will get, because let's not forget, there were many people that picked the Giants as potential Super Bowl contenders before the season started.
Sure did.
They had a rash of injuries. Their defense gave up on each other. So I believe you can get those things fixed immediately, but that defense has to play up to the money that they're paying them. All the criticized goes to OBJ and Eli, but that defense, man, they got to really step up.
Well put. Okay, Coach, we're going to see you later in the show, so come back. But next, is James Harden actually having a better season than LeBron James? Some people are saying that. That's next on First Things First.
I thought you were in a place where the Super Bowl.